Good morning, Changepoint. I'm Tony Murrow, and this is Bible Breakfast. This week we're in Psalm 36. This past Sunday, Justin took us into the psalm and contrasted the natural way of man and the way of God. So for the last 2 days, we've been looking at the natural way of man and how something small, like wanting to avoid shame, could develop into serious spiritual disease. Well, today and tomorrow, we're going to be transitioning from talking about the way of man to talking about the way of God. So David transitions in the psalm in verse 5 from talking about the wicked to talking about God and what God is like, by contrast. Now, every time we see a description of God in the Bible, we should be interested for 2 reasons. First, and obviously, because we want to know God. Part of getting to know God is discovering what He's like, just like part of getting to know you is discovering what you're like. Second, and less obviously, we as Christians are called to imitate the character of God. We are supposed to look at what God is like and be like that. This idea is in every epistle. Let me show you what I mean. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 1, be imitators of me as I am of Christ. Ephesians 5:1, therefore be imitators of God as beloved children. 1 Thessalonians 1:6, and you became imitators of us and of the Lord. And it's not just the Apostle Paul. Look at 1 John chapter 2, verse 6. It says, whoever says he abides in him ought to walk in the same way in which he walked. I could go on and on. There is a link in the description to today's video with 100 Bible verses about imitating God. This is a central idea to what it means to be a Christian. So, today in the Psalm, we are going to look at one attribute of God that we are called to imitate. Psalm 36, we're going to look at verse 5. It says, your love, Lord, reaches to the heavens, and your faithfulness to the skies. It's a beautiful line. We sang a song here at Changepoint for many years with exactly those lyrics.
Your love, oh Lord, reaches to the heavens.
Now, if you have not read a lot of ancient poetry, what we have in these 2 lines is called a chiasm. It's 2 lines that say one thing 2 different ways. So the first line defines the idea, and the second line clarifies. So in the first line, his love reaches to the heavens, and in the second line, his faithfulness stretches to the skies. So the heavens are a lot like the skies. What it's saying here is that God's love is as much like his faithfulness as the heavens are like the skies. This would be a lot more clear if we were reading in Hebrew, because the word that we translate here as love is the Hebrew word chesed. It is a deep, rich idea. It's not just a love. Honestly, I think the best translation I've ever read of this biblical idea actually comes from a children's Bible. This is the Jesus Storybook Bible. If you have kids and you don't have this Bible, buy it. It is amazing. Here is Sally Lloyd-Jones' definition of Hesed love. She says it's God's never stopping, never giving up, unchanging, always, and forever love. This is the love that is talked about in the Old Testament and seen fully in Jesus Christ, humbling himself, becoming obedient, sacrificing even his life for his enemies, all because of his never stopping, never giving up, unchanging, always, and forever love. It's his Hesed. So we are called not first to receive that love from God. It's not something that we work up in ourselves by resolving to be extra nice. That will never get us even close. You will end up bitter and resentful, I promise. No, we're called first to abide in his love, to be fully known and fully loved by God, like David was. Then out of that rich relationship, we learn to become imitators of that love. This is literally the thing that identifies the people of God. Jesus said, this is how people would know, by the quality of our love. And make no mistake, love comes in qualities. The 17-year-old who says to his prom date, Baby, I love you is not saying the same thing as a man sitting at the deathbed of his wife of 50 years as he closes her eyes with the words, I love you. Some love is just better than others, and the Hesed love of God is the best of all. So, something new today, if you're still with me, further reading. Go check out 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 7. It's a description of love. Look at it and ask God to show you which of these attributes of love he wants to develop in you. God bless you, Change Point. Have a great day. Remember that God's love for you is a never-stopping, never giving up, unchanging, always and forever love.